Welcome back to a familiar sight, me in front of an anvil. Which is good because it's one of my favorite places to be in the whole wide world. And to make things a little more exciting, today we have a sponsor. And that sponsor is me, because I'm the only one paying for this shit. What's that? We have lost our sponsor. Today's project, we're making copper rings. Made from copper wire from Home Depot. Also, you can just buy 1 to 2 foot sections of solid core copper wire from their cutoff rack, which makes this a really, really economical way to practice both hammering and hammering copper. Anyhow, there are two sources of copper that I use. This one is the copper wire, and another was these copper shafts from Amazon. Granted, they're made in China, and they're just specific diameter pieces of copper. They do the job. That's them right there. But some of the things that I learned is you can heat up copper like it's steel and hammer it, or you can hammer it cold, or you can anneal it by getting it to a glowing red temperature. Yeah, that's a temperature. And dunking it into water, and it'll make it soft as can be. And here we're just doing a combination of different experiments. Experiment 1 is flatten. Experiment 2 is make it into a square. Experiment 3 is hit the ever-loving shit out of it and see what happens. But the square ones make some interesting twisted rings. The flat ones can make some interesting textured rings. And then there's stupid shit like this. Just doing what I gotta do.
It's so stupid. I love it. It's gonna work really good.
Thanks, past Adrian. It's true. It is gonna work. I regret not getting a shot of it being highly polished right after that.
You made a pattern that I can't make with a hammer.
Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over me. So, one good idea deserves another, but then sometimes these ideas deserve more too. That's a horse rasp. Who the hell knows what that's going to turn into? That one's still sitting in a box, awaiting the void. And back at home, annealing these at my bench. This is a square piece that I'm going to twist, but that's a $15 torch and a free cup of water. So make it hot, then make it cold. Now it is extremely soft compared to where it was. And with 2 pairs of pliers, you can just twist that bitch into twisties. Hindsight being what it was, and copper being as soft as it is. Sorry, I just let that run back. I had to make it soft again. The pliers put the texture of the pliers into the ends of the blank. So, while not ideal, there it is. Still gonna hammer it out at the cutest goddamn anvil I have ever had the pleasure of using. It's not very good, but it's way better than nothing, and it would be impossible to do this without it, so fuck it. And if you're worried about swearing, neither am I. Now, here's one thing about doing this at a bench. If you anneal this every 2 or 3 minutes, this process of what I'm trying to do to taper it down would probably go faster. It would probably go faster and be a little more pleasurable. The other thing that I could do is have a heat source ready and hammer it hot on top of this little anvil. That would also make this go faster. Pretty sure that's what I'm about to do right now. Yep. I know me, and I did this not too long ago. I know what I'm gonna do. Anyway, I'm tapering down the end of the twisties, and that is specifically for the purpose of making a decorative little curl toward the end. What I've learned is I actually need to get this way thinner and be way less stubborn about both how hard I want to hit it and how often I anneal it. Then again, you have this sweet-ass nylon and rubber mallet hammer that I'm using to flatten out this little piece, which I'm a pretty big fan of it. It's the cheapest damn hammer in the world with replaceable heads, and it does exactly what it's supposed to do. And because it's not one of my videos of about fucking filing something, there you go. Another option would have been to file or grind away the material, but hammering preserves material. As you can see, this is turning some copper into some dust. And while this is cleaning up the texture that the pliers left on it, it would still be better to hammer out as much as possible, which is why I switched back to hammering. Copper is very fun to work with. I didn't quite understand what people meant by gummy until I started working with it, but copper files gummy. It clogs up files. It's almost too soft, which is silly to say, but it really is a kitten. Selena was meowing, so I gave her a little bit of time. She's a happy shoulder cat. Bye, kitten. What was I saying? Something not all that interesting. Anyway. Now that the tips have been annealed and thinned down, I thought that these little pliers were going to be way better at this than they were. But it just felt like I was going to destroy them the more that I tried. Still kind of did the job. It's even almost focused in this shot. Don't worry. My fingers are far more interesting than anything I'm working on. But yeah, if that was even if I could reduce the diameter of that by about a half, this would be more pleasurable. I think the end result would also look better. This is like my 4th or 5th ring. I know it's not a ring yet, but we're getting there. So practice makes perfect. Practice makes adequate. I don't think practice makes genuinely perfect, but that is borderline a philosophical conversation for a different time. Practice makes adequate. But yeah. Now this sweet copper candy cane needs a little more filing because any sharp points that can catch on things, not a good look for a ring. Also, if it's not comfortable to wear, not good for a ring. I don't know jack shit about rings, but I've watched a lot of people make them on YouTube, and it looks like fun. But those corner bits, once those are taken care of, it's a little better. Apparently those little hoops Those little hoops can catch on clothes regardless, so if I could close those up, that'd be great. But not in the fate for this ring. When in doubt, though, hit it with a hammer. And then keep hitting it with a hammer. Until you're ready for this. This is a fucking ring bender. It's the Craftsman, of whom I am a fan. CRAF's man. He showed how to make spoon rings using this thing, and I was so enamored with it that I really couldn't avoid buying this object. I bought it for myself as a sadness present when I had to get a root canal, because one, that was already going to cost a shit ton of money, and two, I'd rather have something to distract me while I think that's the phone. Yeah, that's the phone. I am so sorry. Yeah, it was a nonsensical robot call. Wow, I'm easily distracted. But I knew I couldn't avoid buying this object because of what it did, how simply it did it, and how wonderfully it looked, how nice it looked to use. I figure that this will have applications for many things over some years. Because it's got different shaped dies, it's got different ways of using it to make jewelry, which I didn't think would be as fun as it is, but damn it, it's fun. So what this is doing, I could probably talk about what's actually going on. It's forcing it into a ring shape, but I want the gap in the ring to be more consistent. Either it was going to butt up against itself, or I was going to leave that little gap there. I know what you're thinking. Damn, this is professional. No, it's not. It's a Dremel tool and a vise. And me not knowing anything about buffing or how buffing works, or having ever practiced it before, really, in any earnest sense of the word, I tried buffing this, and the results aren't terrible. The goop that I put on there first was doing a job, but if anything, the dark parts left over are more interesting, and the shiny parts are bringing out the actual shapes and forms. So I think I can do better, or use a different wheel, or possibly a tool that's made for this. Who knows? I know Dremel tool is made for this, but not quite. It doesn't feel like this is quite the right way to do it. Call me crazy. In the background, I have hints of all of my future projects, because my dyslexia is a best. My mess is on my bench is a chronic reminder that I have very easily distracted myself from all of the other important things I should be doing. But then again, who's to say this isn't important? Not me! That would be up to you. This is about a size 16? Size 12 European? Something like that? It's obviously not a ring for me. However, this is a flat, annealed piece of copper, and I like this. So, the hammer that... My light just broke. I just broke my overhead light. The hammer that I made for this is... Well, yeah, it's a hammer that I made, but it's also it's made out of 1045, I guess they call it medium carbon steel. It's what they make hammers out of, as far as I know. It was shaped with a round end specifically for this task, and the flat end is for being a flat hammer. If you don't know what a flat hammer's for, It's for hitting stuff flatly. That's it. And the round side is meant for making textures in little projects like this. And I adore it. And in case you were wondering what happens to metal when you hit it a bunch, it spreads out, warping the shape and turning it into curves. And if you're wondering why I constantly anneal it, it's because it's literally too hard now, too work hardened to flatten with the nylon hammer. So we go through the rigmarole, we quench it, we squish it. I could have been squishing things this whole time. This whole time, Adrian. Because it's not a video of mine if I don't pull out another hand file and force you to watch another several minutes of hand filing. This might not be minutes. This could be minute. Again with the robot calls. We ignore them thusly this time. All I'm trying to do here is to make it relatively even, relatively flat. None of it needs to be all that highfalutinly specific. I'm putting the copper dust away for later. Whenever I file copper, I try to hold on to the copper dust because I'm an idiot. And maybe it's a material for a later project on a later day. Speaking of saving your materials, that guy that makes the world's sharpest knives out of bread, paper, whatever, just made an engagement ring. An engagement ring out of human fingernails. Or at least the gem for it. That was 20 minutes of my life. I'm rounding over the edges of the ring so that they'll be more comfortable to wear. I am so sorry. I've shaped this ring to be roughly a 22, I believe, which should fit the 22 sized ring bender die in there. Also, it's much easier to file now than it is to file later and not have a bunch of curved surfaces that it's not fun to work with. Nailed it. 22. And lo and behold, measured to be a 22. Rang bent all the way to 22. There's a lot of ring jamming in this. Almost. Lining up the ends of the ring is really not all that bad. But sometimes they get a little cattywampus. As long as it stays in place, it should be okay. Focus. Thank you. I wish I held still longer because I really do like the texture of that ring. Nope, not ring finger, not middle finger. It's a little much. Or a little loose. Yep. But first finger's feeling alright. I swear to shit, if I get another robot call while making this video, I'm gonna lose my crap. That's a 22. And that's a different type of buffing wheel, which I have had luck with in the past. The thing that I was buffing was the copper core of a heatsink in a computer. You'll never see it. I'll never show it. You just get to imagine what it is. Now what I'm doing here, more ring specific, I'm taking 2000 grit sandpaper and lightly brushing over the peaks that were left in the hammer texturing process to really bring out the that texture, so you can really see it. And damn it, I love copper. I wore it for a day, and as advertised, it left a green patina on my finger. Because it's copper, and that's what it does. Little bit of edge flattening, and this is what we're left with. It's a now focused copper ring. Now, you can do some fun things. Since it is copper, you can patina it intentionally, and then seal that later with super glue or some other more approved jewelry sealant. Super glue is the first thing that came to mind, because I know that would seal it. But I really do like that thick ring. These are some other attempts. With varying levels of success, and some of them patinaed. One of them patinaed. With vinegar and salt, I managed to get that really pretty green color on the one on the right that I'm hiding with my hand. That was one of the first hammer texture rings that I attempted, and I mean, for my money, it was fun to do, fun to make. If I can make a lot of noise and not bother anyone, then I'll start making these in batches and just throwing them up to sell, because they should be inexpensive. They're a lot of fun. Anybody can make these. You don't even need that ring bender. You just need something round to hammer on or bend around. But it's neat. And a hint of what's to come, there's some stainless steel rods in the background, which it would be cool to make stainless steel rings, but also some brass rods in the background that you can't see. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you liked it. I apologize for phone calls that are not mine. And have a good day.